The Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex continues to gain national attention for its explosive growth, making it a strong candidate for investors. Especially for individuals coming from high-cost areas like New York or the Bay Area, this market offers new compelling opportunities in new construction rentals, even with mortgage rates near 7%. Now, the key difference here, however, lies in understanding what kind of return this market prioritizes: appreciation over cash flow. What's up, guys? My name is Casey McEwen, and I'm your local trusted real estate agent and investor in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And if you're finding this channel content on all things Dallas-Fort Worth valuable, make sure to hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. It truly helps out the channel. Now, first and foremost, before I dive into the Dallas-Fort Worth area and just talking about real estate investing here locally, I do want to preface that I have about 6 different rental properties all over the metro. Now, I've actually purchased more than that, but I have since sold a couple and upgraded to larger investment properties. But I roughly own about $5 million in real estate assets, and that's not including a primary home that I am building. So let's jump right into it now. A lot of cities that attract investors just looking for quick cash flow are dealing with flat or even shrinking populations. Sure, the properties are cheap and the cash-on-cash returns look nice at first glance, but you often end up dealing with frequent tenant turnover, unpredicted repairs, and almost zero appreciation over time. Now, DFW plays a different game. Now, this market isn't just growing, it's exploding. And when you invest in a place like that, the strategy shifts. Now, you might not see strong cash flow out of the gate. In fact, they might even lose a couple $100s per month at first, but what you gain in long-term property appreciation can completely change the outcome of your investment. It's kind of like dollar cost averaging in the stock market. Those short-term losses become part of a much bigger picture. Now, as of 2025, there are 5 DFW suburbs you're definitely going to want to keep your eye on. Those are going to be Crowley, which is going to be on the south side of Fort Worth, Anna and Melissa, and Princeton, which are all on the north side of Dallas, and Forney, which is on the southeast side of Dallas. Now, these are not just random cities that I picked. They've actually been vetted across many years of actual data, from home values to rental demand, and their future growth potential looks strong. Let's break each and every single one of them down one by one. First being Crowley. Now, this suburb sits about 20 minutes south of downtown Fort Worth and has seriously caught the attention of both local and out-of-state investors. And you may be asking why? Well, because there's been a ton of new development. We're talking brand new shopping centers, grocery stores like H-E-B, and big name retailers like Super Target. And really, in the last decade, Crowley's home values have gone up by an average of 12% per year. And rent itself has grown at a solid 6.5% annually. Now, a typical 4-bedroom, 2,100 square foot new construction home sells for roughly in the mid to low 300s. And the best part is builders usually throw in nice perks like kitchen appliances and blinds, which cut down on your overall setup costs. Now, with the 25% down payment, your all-in monthly cost, mortgage, taxes, insurance, HOA, comes roughly out to about $2,560, and the rent's roughly about $2,600. So you're right at that break-even point, or maybe even slightly in the green, before appreciation even enters the picture. Now, let's move over to the far north side of Dallas, and in Anna, which is located in Collin County, about 15 minutes north of McKinney. Now, this area has become a magnet for investors who want access to one of North Texas's most booming job corridors. Now, Anna's seen solid numbers too, about 12.6% annual appreciation, 6.2% rent growth over the past 10 years. But here's the catch, guys. The rental market is saturated. There are about 73 active rental listings right now, which means it takes a longer time to fill a vacancy, roughly about 50 days in some cases. Homes here, those start at about $350 with a lower tax rate, close to about 2%. So your monthly mortgage payment will land a little over $2,600. The problem is rents are averaging only about $2,300. So you're looking at about a negative cash flow of $300 to $350 each month. Now, that might sound like a red flag, and for some investors, it certainly is, but for others, especially those banking on long-term appreciation, it's still a viable play. So one thing to keep in consideration here, and this is coming from someone who actually has a new construction home. I mean, technically it's a 2023, and I started renting it out in 2023, but it's a brand new home 2.5 years ago that I started renting out. Certainly with new build homes, you're gonna have less cash flow because you're buying at a premium. You're not buying a house that's 30 years old where you've got to replace an HVAC system tomorrow that's gonna cost you $10,000, which totally negates probably 3 or 4 years of cash flow. flow. This is a new build home that likely won't have any issues, hopefully, knock on wood, for really the first 10 years other than just your normal upkeep. So yes, keep that in mind when we're talking about investing here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and talking new construction. This is not something we are using the burst strategy with. This is not something we're forcing appreciation in. This is not something we're buying at 50% market value and putting $100,000 into it. This is all very easy, very straightforward, new construction investment opportunities where you go, put 20 or 25% down, and you basically walk away with no issues, like I said, hopefully for the next 10 years. But let's jump right over from Anna to Melissa, which is another Collin County gem that's been growing like crazy. Now, this town is known for its excellent schools, and that's a huge draw for families, which translates into stronger long-term demand for rental properties. Now, over the last 10 years, home values here have jumped by about 16% annually. Now, a new construction home here in Melissa will run you over $400,000, about $415,000, and like Crowley, rents are holding stronger than Anna at about $2,600. Now, the challenge here is your monthly payment's going to be closer to $3,000. So again, you're looking at an initial shortfall of about $400 a month. But that's not the whole story here. Because of the school ratings and new amenities like a Kroger and planned HEB, Melissa has staying power, and even modest appreciation can build some serious equity over time. Now, obviously, if we're looking at number 2 or number 3 here, both of those require hundreds of dollars out of pocket in order to cover your mortgage. Now, again, this is new construction with hopefully no expenses out the gate in terms of upkeep or CapEx, so on and so forth. But do keep in mind, all of the numbers that I'm running here are at the current rates. Obviously, if rates do start to tumble or if they do come down, all of these numbers are going to certainly change, adjust, and go down, which obviously means more potential cash flow. Now, it's not something you want to assume. Do not buy an investment property with the intention of like, hey, I know in a year I'm gonna be able to get a whole percentage lower on my interest rate, because it's just not gonna happen. Now, if it does, that's just an icing on top of the cake. But do not go into an investment property assuming that you're going to get a lower interest rate. Understand that there is benefits beyond just having to cover your mortgage a couple $100s a month. There's a ton of tax savings, there's appreciation over time. There's also the ability to be able to take that loss that you have in any given year and carry it over to the following year and continue to carry that over until you eventually do hit a profit. A lot of things to consider here when you're looking at investing in real estate, but do keep in mind that the North Dallas areas specifically are certainly going to come at a higher price tag, which we've seen here with Anna and Melissa. Now, the second to last here is going to be Princeton. Now, this one's tricky, so let's get into it. Now, the home values here have increased at a similar rate to Melissa, about 15 or 16% annually, but the overall investment picture isn't as rosy. Well, why, you may be asking? Well, the high property taxes, which some are as high as 2.7%, tons of rental listings. We're talking over 80 plus active at any given time, and a rental market that's just honestly oversaturated. The good news here is homes do cost $350,000, but rents are down to $2,300 on average, meaning you're taking a less of a hit than Anna and Melissa at about $225, but still a hit nonetheless. Now, if you throw in slow absorption rates and limited shopping or entertainment options, and it starts to feel more speculative than strategic. Now, investors who jump in here are usually hoping that the low price point makes up for the risk, but that's not a guaranteed payoff. Now, I personally am not a huge fan of Princeton. This video is not to sell people. Obviously, as I'm discussing each and every single one of these cities, it's not to sell people on investing in Princeton, investing in Crowley, Anna, or Melissa, or eventually Forney, which I'll get to here in a second. It's just to educate individuals on new construction that may be thinking, hey, Princeton may be a good idea. Well, honestly, it could be a good idea if it fits for you, but not all investments in Princeton are gonna make sense for everyone. A lot of people obviously reach out to me with the intention to invest somewhere in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Not a lot of the time is it new construction, largely because where rates are currently. Most people just want to find an extremely cheap house in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and use me to find it. The unfortunate side is there are thousands, if not tens of thousands, of other investors that are out trying to do that very same thing. Now, a much easier route is just to find a good deal on a new construction home, park your cash there, and certainly deal with appreciation over the course of the next 10, 20, or 30 years. Again, anything that we're talking about here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, new construction homes, when it comes to investing, we're talking buy and holds. Buy and holds are exactly that. buy and hold. We're not buying with the intention of selling in 2 years here. This is an investment property that's gonna make you money in the long term, not the immediate next year or two. All right, last but not least, let's jump over to Forney, which is about 25 minutes east of downtown Dallas. Now this suburb hits kind of that sweet spot. Now home value appreciation has been slower, around 11% annually, but rent growth has been stronger, north of 7%. Now investors are drawn to Forney because it has more of a balanced fundamentals. Now new construction homes range, or I guess really start at about $330,000 and rent for about $2,500 a month. Now monthly payments are just under $2,600, which puts you slightly in the red at first, but the rental demand here is strong and properties tend to move relatively quickly. And because rent growth is outpacing costs like taxes, you're likely to hit positive cash flow faster than you would in places like Anna or Melissa. Now here's something that gets overlooked a lot. Investor mortgage rates are typically about 1% higher than what homeowners get, but by putting 25% down instead of 20%, you can often shave up close to about 0.75% from your rate. For example, you might see your interest rate drop from 7.8% down to a little over 7%, which can be the big difference between being underwater every single month or breaking even. And don't forget builder incentives. Many will cover up to 2% of your closing costs and throw in extras like blinds, fridges, or even a garage door opener to help sweeten the deal. Now, if you're considering investing from out of state, property management is another consideration here, but new construction properties typically don't need much attention in the first few years. That means you can probably skip full service property management for a while. A local leasing agent such as myself can find you a qualified tenant for about half a month's rent, up to 1 month's rent. And from there, you can manage it remotely. And as long as your tenant is screened properly and your home is still under warranty, these properties can basically take care of themselves for really the first 1 to 3, maybe 5 years. Now, investing in DFW is less about what your spreadsheet looks like this month and more about where you want to be in 5, 10, or even 15 years. If your goal is to build serious long-term wealth, then new construction in high-growth DFW suburbs like Crowley and Forney offers one of the most compelling opportunities on the market. Now, if you've made it all the way to the end of this video, you probably are interested in investing in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. If there's a particular city or area that you are interested in, reach out to me directly. I'll give you my full synopsis and just a rundown as to whether or not I think that's a great area or not. Also, you can always leave a comment down in the comment section below. I'm sure other people will run into this video with potentially the same type of question. So leave a comment in the comment section down below. I get back to every single comment. But as always, guys, I appreciate all the support. Make sure to like and subscribe. It really does help. And stay tuned for next week's content.